Hi, this is Uday. Now I am going to discuss about connections. Coming to introductions, steel structures are to be found by connecting available standard sections because whatever sessions we want, we can't get them available in the market. So we have to make the standard sessions required to our sessions by connecting, and for that connecting we need connections, and there are basically two types of connections to form the required sessions from the standard sessions of the steel structures. The two connections are like this as shown, different sections to form the required composite section of member, like example connecting plates, angles, channels, eye sections, etc., and different members at their ends. In the first we have to form the required members what we want, and we have to connect that members to the other members to have our structure built up. Like different members at their ends comes like secondary beams to main beams to columns, and columns to footings, and columns to the member of the truss. And the when coming to design, it is very important because while coming to design of connections, it is very important because the failure of joint is sudden, and it will be a disaster to the steel structure, and steel structure may collapse without any intimation. And coming to the types of connections, there are basically three types of connections in steel structures. They are riveted, bolted, and welded. In this session, we will see about riveted and bolted sections, their types, advantages, and disadvantages. Coming to riveted connections, like riveting is a method of joining together pieces of metal by inserting ductile pins called rivets. In this process, as shown in the figure, they will take the two metal pieces in this manner, means nearby without any gap between them, and they will insert this ductile material called rivet into the hole of the two plates, and they will make the other head of the rivet so that previously it will have a head on the one side. After inserting into them, they will make a head on the other side so that the metals will not come out. And this our members won't have any rivet holes. We have to make holes in them, and these rivet holes are made in the structural members by punching or by drilling. The size of the rivet hole is kept slightly more like 1.5 to 2 mm than size of rivet, because so that we can insert our rivet into that without any problem. And coming to disadvantages of riveting, it is associated with a high level of noise pollution, because as I said before, we have to make holes in the metals to make riveting, and we made that holes by punching or drilling. While doing punching and drilling, obviously noise will come, which will leads to the noise pollution, and it needs heating the rivet to red hot. Like I have said before, we will take the two metals closer, and the rivet have head on one side, and after inserting into the two metals, we will make the head on the other side. Like that head can't be done without making it heat, because when we make it heat, the metal will be the metal will melt, and that will form head. So by heating only, we will make that make the other head of the bolt after introducing it into the metals. So heating is to be done, and inspection of connections is a skilled work. And removing fully installed rivets is costly because we will insert that one and we will make head on the other side, so we have to remove that head of like two one head will be there before and we will make other head, so we have to remove one head to remove that rivet, so it is costly, and labor cost is high, and production of welded quality steel and introduction of high strength friction grip bolts HFSG have replaced the use of rivets. So to overcome these disadvantages, now we are using this welded quality steel, and we are using that HSFZ bolt. And coming to bolted connections, we all know about bolts. It is a metal pin with the head on the one side and the shank on the other side, which is threaded so that it will receive the net. As shown in the figure, it is the bolt with the head on one side, and from the end of the head it is called shank, and at the end of shank it will get threads so that we can insert this net. And bolts are used for joining together pieces of metal by inserting them to the holes in the metal, and we will tighten that two metals by inserting the net to the bolt threads. And coming to here, this is the head of the bolt, and it is the shank, and where at end it have threads, and the length of the thread is called thread length, and it is the net which we will insert after inserting this bolt into the metals, and that metals will become here obviously. And coming to this, from the end of the head to the end of the shank, it is called nominal length. And after tying this net to the bolt, means after inserting this nut to the bolt, the distance between nut and to the head of the bolt is called grip length. And bolts are classified as you unfinished or black bolts, or finished or turned bolts, or and high strength friction grip, which is also called HFSC bolts. Let's see about them in brief. Coming to unfinished or black bolts, these bolts are made from mild steel rods, which are square or hexagonal in head. The shank is left unfinished. That is, whether it will be left unfinished by keeping it as the rough one, or it may be rolled. And coming to the nominal diameters of these black bolts, means diameter of shank, the sizes are like 12 mm, 16, 20, 22, 24, 27, 30 and 36 are available, but the commonly used bolt diameters are 16, 20, 24, 30 and 36 mm. These bolts are designated as M16, M20, M24 and etc. And coming to IS code, IS 1364 part 1 gives specifications for these bolts, unfinished or black bolts. And coming to finished or turned bolts, these bolts are also made from the mild steel only, these are but they are formed from hexagonal rods. By making them from hexagonal rods, they will finish them, like they will give final finish to the bolts by turning them into a circular shape. And the actual diameter of these bolts are kept 1.2 to 1.3 mm larger than the nominal diameter. As we have talked in the previous slide, like nominal diameters are 12, 16, 20, 22, 24, 27 and 30 and 36. And to the nominal diameters, this actual dimension of these bolts will kept 1.2 to 1.3 mm larger. And while coming to the bolt hole, it will kept 1.5 mm larger to the nominal diameter, as we discussed about before. Bolt hole is to be a little big diameter rather than the bolt to insert that bolt into that hole easily. And coming to high strength friction grip bolts, these are also called as HSFG bolts. These bolts are made from high strength steel rods. As these bolts are made from high strength steel rods, these will be strong enough to meet the requirements rather than that unfinished black bolts or finished turned bolts. These bolts are tightened to the proof load using calibrated wrenches. Proof load is nothing but the greatest load which is to be designed for that bolt which take, like it is the greatest load which that bolt can take. And these are tightened to the proof load by using calibrated wrenches. Hence, they grip the members tightly as they are these bolts are tightened to the greatest load. This will grip the members very tightly. And in additional, we are providing nuts so that that the two members which we have which we have tied up with this bolt will not remove and come out. And while coming to the advantages of bolted connections, making joints is less. Like while we are we have discussed disadvantages of riveted connections. While talking with advantages or disadvantages, we are comparing that connections with the other connections. Like here, these are the advantages of bolted connections compared to the riveted connections and welded connections also. While talking about advantages of bolted connections, making joints is noiseless. Like in riveted connections, we have to drill the holes by drilling or punching, means we have to make the holes. It will obviously create noise pollution, and we have discussed it as the disadvantages. And as these are bolted, there won't be any noise, and skilled labor is not at all required, as bolted connections can be made by non-skilled labor also. And less labor is required because all the bolts and nuts are made in the are made actually, and there is no need of making any holes. Like we have to get that bolts and nuts, and we have to fit them by taking the two metals which we have to connect. So it needs less labor compared to that riveted connections. And connections can be made quickly, and structure can be put to use immediately. There in the riveted connections, we are making one head, means one head will be there actually, and other head we are making after inserting that rivet into the two metals. Like we have to use structure after that head which we have made is to be dried, means it is to be dried, and it is to be strong enough. Like it will take some time. It have to as the rivet is heated up before making head, it is to be cooled down. After like by cooling itself, it will become strong. After that we have to use. But but in the case of bolted connections, it is not there. Like we are just inserting that bolt, and we are fitting nut to that, and there is nothing like heating as we are heating after becoming it cool, it is strong. There are no such things as riveted connections. So this bolted connection structure can be put into use immediately after fitting that bolts and nuts. And any minor discrepancies in dimensions can be accommodated while fitting. Means if there is any gap, we have inserted that bolt into two metals, and if there is any gap between metals and nut, we can make a rivet, some small rivets like that, and we can make a nut to them. So like that minor discrepancies can be made, which we can't made in the riveted connections. And alternations, if any, can be done easily. Like I said before, in the riveted connections, like removing riveted connections is a costly job, and it is not at all easy, and it needs skill labor also. But here, as they are bolt and nut connections, we can lose nuts easily, and we can alter the structure however we want. and working area required in the field is less. Obviously working area is less, like we have to just insert and we have to make bolt and nut connections, that's all. And there is no such things like punching and drilling, so it's take less working area in the field. And coming to the disadvantages, especially disadvantages of unfinished or black bolt connections. Previously we have discussed the advantages, and coming to the disadvantages of especially these black bolts. Tensile strength is reduced considerably due to stress concentrations and reduction of area at the root of the threads. At the root of the threads, the area of the thread is decreased, which is leading to the more stress concentrations, and tensile stress is obviously decreasing, and which is the major disadvantages of these black bolt connections. And rigidity of joints is reduced to loose fit, resulting in excessive deflections. After making the joints, the rigidity of the joint is reducing because of the loose fit, like that fit is becoming loose, which is leading to the deflections of the structures. And one more disadvantages is it is not bearing any vibrations, and due to vibrations the nuts are likely to loosen, endangering the safety of the structure. If nuts due to vibration the nuts are becoming loose, so that that bolt and nut connection will be loosened, which will make the two members two members to shift from their position, which is endangering the safety of the structures. And these are the things which I want to discuss in this session. In the next session I will discuss about the welded connections. Thank you for seeing.